Hey there, friend. Florida's a pretty incredible place. We've got sunshine, beaches, the Everglades, and so much natural beauty that it's like living in a postcard. But let's be real, Florida's got a dark side too. No, I'm not talking about hurricanes or love bugs. I'm talking about animals. Some of them don't belong here, and they're causing serious problems for the environment, our homes, and even our safety. Today, we're diving into 10 animals Florida absolutely must eliminate. Some of these might surprise you, so buckle up. Let's start with the king, or should I say monster, of the Everglades, the Burmese python. These snakes aren't supposed to be here. They're native to Southeast Asia, but thanks to irresponsible pet owners and a few escapes, they've taken over South Florida. These guys can grow up to 20 feet long and eat just about anything, from rabbits to deer. They're even wiping out native species like raccoons and bobcats. Imagine hiking in the Everglades and running into one of these giants. Nope, hard pass. The state already has python hunting programs, but we need to ramp it up. These snakes are breeding faster than we can catch them, and if we don't act now, they'll destroy the delicate balance of our ecosystems. Expand hunting programs and improve tracking technology, such as thermal imaging, to locate pythons more effectively. Offer better incentives to skilled hunters and train the public on safe capture methods. Develop and implement biological control strategies or specialized traps to reduce their population. Public awareness campaigns should highlight the ecological damage caused by pythons and encourage residents to report sightings. Strengthen legislation to prevent the release of exotic pets into the wild. By combining advanced research, community involvement, and enhanced hunting efforts, Florida can tackle this invasive species and protect its unique ecosystem. The good news? You can actually help by eating them. Yup, lionfish are tasty, and restaurants are starting to put them on menus. So grab a fork and do your part. Encourage lionfish removal by promoting their inclusion in commercial fishing and local seafood markets. Support fishing tournaments and recreational spearfishing focused on removing lionfish from Florida's waters. Educate divers and fishers on safely handling these venomous fish and the ecological damage they cause. Provide incentives for restaurants and seafood suppliers to add lionfish to their menus, turning this invasive species into a culinary opportunity. Collaborate with marine conservation groups to expand awareness campaigns and provide resources for removal efforts. By combining public participation, economic incentives, and education, Florida can significantly reduce lionfish populations and protect its marine ecosystems. Feral hogs might seem like a country problem, but they're a statewide menace. These wild pigs root up crops, destroy native plants, and even spread diseases to livestock and humans. Plus, they breed like crazy. One sow can have multiple litters a year. Hunting programs have helped control the population, but these hogs are smart and tough to catch. It's going to take a combination of hunting, trapping, and public awareness to really get ahead of this problem. Expand hunting and trapping programs to control feral hog populations, offering incentives to hunters and landowners for participation. Educate farmers and residents on hog-proofing techniques, such as fencing and habitat management, to reduce damage to crops and property. Support research into non-lethal control methods like contraceptives to limit breeding. Increase public awareness of the environmental and economic harm caused by feral hogs, encouraging community involvement in management efforts. Partner with agricultural groups and wildlife agencies to coordinate removal programs and mitigate the spread of diseases. A multifaceted approach is critical to minimizing the impact of feral hogs in Florida. If you've never heard of a tegu, let me introduce you to Florida's newest reptilian invader. These black and white lizards are native to South America, but they've made themselves right at home in the Sunshine State. Tegus are voracious eaters, snacking on eggs from native birds and reptiles, including endangered species like gopher tortoises. Tegus can grow up to 4 feet long, and they're not afraid of people. If you see one in your yard, call wildlife control immediately. These lizards are a big threat, and we need to nip this problem in the bud. Increase public education on identifying and reporting tegus to wildlife agencies. Deploy traps in known hotspots to capture and remove tegus safely. Strengthen legislation to prevent the trade and release of these reptiles as exotic pets. Collaborate with researchers to develop effective population control strategies and track their spread. Promote community involvement by teaching residents how to deter tegus from nesting on their properties. Support wildlife management teams with funding and resources to expand control efforts. A combined approach of prevention, removal, and public education is necessary to stop tegus from further endangering Florida's native species. Cane toads might sound harmless, but they're anything but. These large, warty amphibians are toxic to just about anything that tries to eat them, including dogs and cats. Native to Central and South America, they were introduced to Florida to control pests in sugarcane fields. Spoiler alert, that plan backfired. Now cane toads are everywhere, and they're outcompeting native frogs. If you have pets, be extra careful. A run-in with one of these toads can be deadly. Educate residents on identifying and safely removing cane toads from their properties to protect pets and native wildlife. Promote the use of humane traps and barriers to limit their spread in residential areas. Increase public awareness campaigns about the dangers of cane toads' toxins and their impact on local ecosystems. Encourage research into innovative control methods, such as biological or chemical solutions that target cane toads without harming native species. Strengthen regulations to prevent the accidental introduction of more toads. Collaboration between wildlife agencies and communities is essential to reducing the cane toad population and minimizing their impact. Speaking of frogs, Cuban tree frogs are another invasive species Florida needs to deal with. These guys might look cute, but they're bad news. They eat native frogs, lizards, and even small snakes. Plus, their sticky skin can irritate your hands if you try to handle them. Cuban tree frogs are a perfect example of why we need to be careful about releasing exotic pets into the wild. Once they're out there, they're almost impossible to remove. Promote community involvement in the humane removal of Cuban tree frogs, encouraging residents to safely trap and eliminate them. Educate the public on their impact on native species and the environment, highlighting the importance of not releasing pets into the wild. Provide resources for homeowners to identify and manage infestations, such as sealing entry points to homes and removing suitable habitats. Support research into ecological management strategies to limit their spread. Work with conservation groups to increase awareness of the harm caused by invasive frogs. A combination of education, removal, and habitat management is key to controlling this species. You've probably seen these bright green birds flying around Florida. They're monk parakeets, and while they might seem like harmless little escapees from the pet trade, they're actually a big problem. Monk parakeets build massive nests on power lines, causing outages and even fires. Their populations are growing, and they're displacing native birds. Efforts to control them have been met with some resistance because, let's face it, they're adorable. But cute or not, these birds are causing serious damage and need to go. Support efforts to humanely remove monk parakeet nests from power lines and other critical infrastructure. Collaborate with utility companies to develop bird-proof designs and techniques to prevent nest building. Educate the public on the ecological and economic damage caused by these birds, emphasizing the importance of not feeding them. Promote research into non-lethal population control methods, such as reproductive management programs. Partner with local governments and wildlife agencies to develop and implement large-scale management plans. Through public awareness and innovative strategies, Florida can reduce monk parakeet populations while preserving native bird species and critical infrastructure. Coyotes might not be an invasive species, but they're still a major problem in Florida. They've moved into suburban areas, preying on pets and livestock. They're also a threat to native wildlife, including sea turtles. Yep, they'll dig up and eat turtle eggs. The thing about coyotes is that they're incredibly adaptable. Fencing, hunting, and hazing techniques can help, but it's going to take ongoing efforts to keep their numbers in check. Implement community-based programs to educate residents on coyote behavior and deterrence methods, such as securing trash and using hazing techniques. Encourage local governments to install protective fencing in areas with vulnerable livestock and wildlife. Expand hunting and trapping programs to manage coyote populations in heavily affected regions. Increase awareness about the threat coyotes pose to native species, like sea turtles, and promote conservation efforts to protect these animals. Collaborate with researchers to develop humane population control solutions, such as sterilization programs. A balanced approach that combines public education, deterrence, and direct management is necessary to address coyote-related issues. Last but not least, we've got Nile monitor lizards. These large, aggressive reptiles are native to Africa, but have established populations in parts of Florida. They eat just about anything, including small animals, birds, and eggs. They're also known to raid nests of native species, further threatening Florida's already fragile ecosystems. Nile monitors are fast, sneaky, and hard to catch. If you see one, don't try to handle it yourself. Call a professional. These lizards are no joke. Deploy targeted removal programs to capture and remove Nile monitor lizards from areas where they pose the greatest threat. Encourage residents to report sightings and avoid approaching these aggressive reptiles. Provide public education on the ecological harm they cause, particularly their predation on native species like sea turtles and birds. Strengthen regulations to prevent the import and release of Nile monitors as exotic pets. Support wildlife agencies with funding for monitoring and removal efforts. Research into innovative control methods, including habitat management, can help contain their spread. Community involvement and proactive measures are critical to managing this invasive species effectively. So there you have it, 10 animals that Florida must eliminate at all costs. Each one of these species is causing serious harm to our environment, economy, or way of life. And while it might seem overwhelming, there's hope. Programs like wildlife management, hunting initiatives, and public education are already making a difference. But we all need to do our part. That could mean reporting sightings, supporting local conservation efforts, or even just being more mindful about the pets we buy and how we care for them. Remember, most of these invasions started because someone thought releasing an exotic pet into the wild was a good idea. Spoiler alert, it's not. Florida is a special place, and it's up to us to protect it. So let's roll up our sleeves and tackle this problem together. Whether it's catching a python, trapping a feral hog, or simply spreading the word, every little bit helps. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Stay safe out there and watch where you step. You never know what might be lurking in the grass.